Shehzad, thank you very much for granting this interview to Politics and Development magazine. Mr. Ali Sheikh is the head of Leadership for Environment and Development Pakistan, which is called Lead Pakistan. The organization is carrying out a range of activities in the areas of sustainable development, capacity building, research, training. It's a premier training institute that is building the capacity of mid-career professionals who come from various sectors of life: media, academia, government, civil society, NGOs. Mr. Sheikh is also the Asia Director of CDKN, which is Climate Development Knowledge Network. It's an initiative by DFID. Mr. Sheikh, you have just attended the Cancun conference and you are involved, uh, you are working on climate change for a long time. You are the Asia Director of DFID's Climate and Development Knowledge Network, and as such playing your role in contributing towards making the globe climate compatible. You also had the Climate Leaders Action Network plan that gives you access to over 2,000 experts in the field. What is your critical analysis about the outcome of Cancun Agreement? Was it a failure or success?
Mixed. There were some success, and then there were some limitations or areas in which there was no agreement. And in a forum like this, in multilateral negotiations where the issues are complex and the number of stakeholders is huge, one should not expect an ideal solution. So my short answer is a limited success.
Limited success, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this
It's it's not
success?
scale to of 1 to 10. The question is that most observers felt that after Copenhagen Accord, the UNFCCC negotiation process was under threat. It seems that Cancun's big contribution is that we are back on track in terms of the framework. Now the framework is conducting or continuing these discussions, these agreements under a particular framework. And from the developing countries' point of view, the framework offered by UNFCCC is the most desirable one because certain principles laid down in that framework suit developing countries and the marginalized countries, least developed countries, the most. So, from that point of view, this was a remarkably successful.
Okay, what are the opportunities in the Cancun Agreement for Asia in general and for Pakistan in particular? I'm talking about Asia because you are heading CDKN Asia.
In the areas under discussion include technology transfer. These include RED, which deals with forestry and biodiversity issues, conservation issues. This includes areas dealing with adaptation. So there are several areas where the developing countries in Asia and elsewhere will have the opportunities to engage more meaningfully to maximize their interests, maximize their advantage being part of the process.
But how it is going to benefit Asia and particularly Pakistan in what terms?
There's no automation in terms of advantage. Um, there are at least two aspects to take advantage from any situation. One is whether or not the windows of opportunity are favorable to you, and most of those windows are under discussion. They're not obviously defined as yet. Second is what are the resources available to those windows or opportunities, and third, which is very important part, how well prepared you are to take advantage of those windows. Now, let me try to explain to you all these three windows. In the first is the architecture. What are the windows available? Certain areas that I mentioned to you, one can add some more like Green Fund, are being established, are being set up, and there are elements of good news for developing countries like Pakistan, be they based in Asia or elsewhere. Second is how well endowed they are with resources,
Yes.
and that is under discussion, and that is not obviously clear in each instance.
Like who would provide 100 billion dollars for
Yes, we
them.
don't know who will provide, at what cost, and whether or not it is in addition to ODA already committed. Is it the same money recycled? Would it be given under UNFCCC framework, or would it come from multilateral institutions? Would it be part of bilateral aid or some other framework?
Did you raise these questions?
And the third piece is how well prepared you are to take advantage. That is where the countries like Pakistan would need to have stronger institutions, better understanding, better grasp, and the ability to bid for the international opportunities and maximize the gains. And that is probably, in my personal view, one of the weakest areas, weaker area for most developing countries. Even though in Asia we have large countries like India, um, and some countries who may be otherwise quite weak but have made good progress in terms of enhancing their capacity to take advantage of opportunities, like Nepal, like Bangladesh, like Indonesia, like Vietnam. So at the Asia level, there are several countries who will be well poised to take advantage from these new windows.
Critics like Dr. Shahid Javed Varki wrote in his analysis on Cancun that Pakistani delegation, and you were part of that, attended the conference but made little contribution to their deliberation. Do you agree? And please also let us know about the nature of your role in the conference and how did you deliberate on Pakistan's concern?
I have not read Dr. Barki's piece, and I don't know what is his source. I did not see him in Cancun. Maybe he was there, and his observations are based on first-hand knowledge. But but I was present, and he is largely right that it's very difficult for a developing country to take full advantage. But then at the same time, how meaningfully you can get engaged is a function of your capacities and preparedness. And Pakistan, of course, has a long way to go in terms of having
Are you
a
saying
strong.
Pakistan was not prepared for it?
What I have said is that these are challenging issues on which you need deeper capacities to engage. And the process of strengthening Pakistan's ability to participate in negotiations is an important one. And in some areas, like for example, Pakistan is represented on the Adaptation Fund board. So a dynamic Pakistani heads that board. So yes, there are some opportunities. The question is how well we can take benefit from these opportunities that exist.
And another question that Maldives was very much concerned, and the president was also there, and he also gave an interview to BBC. Do you think that this conference or the agenda of climate change can save this country from total annihilation?
Well, the island nations are under particular siege. As the seawater rises, it will become increasingly difficult for them to survive, and a lot of their development infrastructure will be under threat because seawater intrusion will erode their coastal areas and the infrastructure that they have developed. Unless we globally are able to cap climate increase in temperature to 2 degrees before the turn of the century, I see very little future for number of island nations.
So, what you are saying is that it will not be safe,
The
right?
challenge is to cap the increase in temperature to at 2 degrees before the turn of the century.
Can that be achieved?
Hard at this point,
Hard.
very hard.
Pakistan and India are the major victims of climate change. Can they work together to address this issue, putting aside the traditional rivalry? And what could be the areas in this effect?
Most certainly,
Because you are also heading Asia in CDK.
most certainly, transboundary issues can divide us or they can unite us. In coming years, if we have to address the poverty issue and the climate issue, we'll have to learn to work together. And climate change area offers tremendous opportunities to India and Pakistan and other countries in the region to work together.